Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode. This episode is gonna be special because today we're gonna break down why we are applying to YCombinator Fall 2024 and, of course, our 19-day challenge. But, Mark, what is this challenge all about? All right, so 6 days ago, YCombinator announced that they're gonna have a fall batch, the first fall batch that it ever had. In, I think, August 28th is the deadline. So we're like, fuck. 27th, yeah. We want to go there because our current startup, we cannot apply with it because it's not safe for work, basically, and they don't do this kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
like, all right, yeah, exactly, adult. So we're like, fuck, we got to do something because that's one of our goals and one of our dreams to go to Y Combinator. So we're like, all right. It's like everybody else has like on their bucket list, oh, I want to run a marathon. I don't know, I want to do bungee jumping. I want to jump out of an airplane. I mean, all cool stuff, don't get me wrong. But man, for us, it's always been our dream to go to Y Combinator. We already applied 12 times, I guess, over our 6-year career or something. Got twice to the interviews. Sadly, did never pass the interview stage, but still, always like still fire, and we can't wait to go there. Well, I mean, Y Combinator is fucking fascinating to us because there's basically going to be super, super motivated and highly intelligent people that work on cutting edge technologies or startups that are super interesting. On the one side, super interesting for us is the podcast. It's fucking super cool. Then we can also interview people that are in the process of making it or building something that might be the new Airbnbs of the future. Because for those people who don't know, Y Combinator is an accelerator, like the Harvard for startups, where the likes of Stripe, Airbnb, Reddit, etc. were in. Dropbox, fantastic. You name it, they went there. So like in general, for us, it's just like super, super interesting because like, man, Mark and I always like bloom or blossom, let's put it this way, like when you're also along other people, like with the deadline and then just like all working towards a goal, right? Because then it's demo day, so you're always working towards it. And now we put ourselves... Who cannot fucking relate to this, right? Yes, there's exactly. Two kind of people. You read on your bachelor, you have to write your bachelor thesis. There's people that start 2 months in advance. All those people who start 3 or 4 days exactly when you have the deadline. You're like, fucking all of a sudden, you're like, I don't know, you're fucking ChatGPT. Like, you're hacking away your bachelor thesis and you still get a fucking A on it. So this is the type of guys that we are and we like to be. So be under pressure. This time, not obviously start late, but enjoy the entire time. This, I mean, kind of is where you have 19 days for the challenge. Because let's just start in. How do we divide this up? How do we deal with this situation, etc.? Of course. So, I mean, first of all, when we saw it, it was on the 8th of August, 8th of August of 2024. And then we're like, okay, we got 19 days till the deadline. And we're like, okay, we want to basically document all the steps of the way, right? Because we're like, okay, if we're doing this, the 19-day challenge, we also want to be able to showcase that we did it in 19 days. So we started on Twitter posting like each day. Well, on weekends, we always do a summary. So it's just like end of the weekend, we do one. So like each day we're summarizing it, have a photo in front of a whiteboard as well as saying, hey, this is what we've been doing. Now, of course, now we talk about how we divided it. So Mark is technical part. So Mark's doing everything related to AI voice. So because our goal is to build a AI voice startup within 19 days and launch it, potentially have traction as well already. And on my side is all about business, right? And Mark, you want to go more into what we did the days, or how do you want to structure this? So basically, we were thinking, first of all, why AI voice? Man, we think AI voice is the future. It's like an untapped market that you can integrate into already existing networks, such as telephone, because there's a lot of people that are still not using the internet properly or try to schedule things. And this is I'm going to say that like technology that you can put in between other tech. Like, for example, you can build technology that is based on the internet, okay, that uses a lot of APIs, etc., and that's still connected to an old school telephone, right? You just nowadays with AI and voice AI specifically, you can then connect that to LM. So someone is calling, and you have an AI voice that answers you, and then you can put that to database, which is an interesting medium in interface. But now you don't have to text with an LLM, but you actually can talk to it, and then you can obviously apply that to all kind of fucking niches. And it's so fucking fascinating to us because it makes it so much easier to interact and it seems much more natural, right? How do we interact with other people? We don't, well, not as we text, but with you in person, right? You fucking talk to them. And this is exactly the way we're thinking about it. It's like, okay, how can we interact? How can we use this medium to create a new cool technology that is super useful for people? Also, the question is now, why now, right? Because like I think there's one of the most important questions, or what is really, really relevant is like, why now? Because like, why did not people build this a year ago, 2 years ago? And the answer is quite simple, that right now, AI, especially like the models, got so cheap, relatively cheap, right? So for example, we're checking right now, AI voice infrastructure would cost roughly, so what does it mean in AI voice like infrastructure, right? So first you have somebody, if you're talking, you're transcribing it, you need to basically do it from voice to text, right? Then you have an LLM. So for example, OpenAI, which then answers or interacts.
ChatGPT for those people who
or
don't know.
ChatGPT, exactly. And need to interact with the transcribed text. And then you have to go again from text to voice. Okay. So this is the entire, we call it, let's say, the voice infrastructure, and this costs roughly between 7 and 18 cents, right, per minute.
Lucas is still missing. Additionally, you also have to have obviously a connector to a landline, like to an actual phone number, right? Because otherwise, it's just web telephony. Like you can just only call a website, but you want people also to call into a phone number, and then you have additional costs, right, for you to use actually that kind of stuff. So you have to have also the cost of adding a phone number and then using that kind of network. That's it.
Right. So this was basically our starting point, because we know, okay, you did in the first day market research, how much it costs.
Oh wait,
what
Lucas,
is
one thing why it's also possible now is that the latency is low enough. Because one of the things, yes, Lucas already said, costs are low, but another thing is latency. Why is latency important? Because otherwise it feels unnatural. Okay, wait, what? Yeah, exactly. They're
I think we
interrupting each
all
other.
been on these calls, right? Like,
Exactly.
think about Skype back in the day, connection shitty, or you're lagging, like you're playing video games, and it just like doesn't feel right. Or you're like in a Google Meets meeting, right? And it's just like the one has a bad connection. You always just talk over each other, which is like horrible. So it's just like it's never a good fluent experience. The same as like the output of the LLM. If it's not high enough, you might have not a fast answer because it's not transcribing fast enough, not giving an answer fast enough. So you have to wait a very long time to get an answer.
Exactly. So currently we're in a sweet spot where it is possible to finally do this and also cost efficient for it to be an actual value, not just a construct, but to add additional value. There's also something like a detection of, hey, end of speech detection, right?
Yeah.
Is the guy done, or is it a comma? Is it a punctuation? Is it a full stop, etc.?
Or mode, right? So for example, is the customer in like in a good mood, in a bad mood, right? So for example, this enables all customer support. We've seen like big like startups that like were founded last year, and they raised over 110 million already, and they're doing customer support for big brands already. Like for example, one of the big brands, what was it? Sonos. So they're doing customer support for Sonos and some other brands. Yeah,
they have really good headphones, the speakers.
yeah. So you're seeing it more and more coming, and which is really, really cool. And that's why we wanted to go in AI voice. Now, coming back, like on our first day, like we were just like thinking about, okay, Mark, all tech stack, while I was looking at, all right, what are the niches we can go into, right? Because in the niches, they are the richest. Because we also, especially for Y Combinator, we want to go very, 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 very like niche, and then you can always just like go broaden later on, but you have to go very, very niche, so you can start there and then broaden it. So like we saw, Mark gave me the limitations, so he said, okay, costs are between 7 and 18 cents depending on it, right? And yeah, that's, I went on a hunt on a few ideas. So yeah, that's one of the things. But then, yeah, Mark, how do you want to do it? Do you want to talk now all of it, what we did, or just the results?
Look, the thing is this. I just want to. So I think it's already interesting. You already said. I think it would be nice to hear also on a little bit more technical how you went into the structure, because at the end of the day we're applying to Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is interesting because the application helps you also structure your business and ask questions that are maybe uncomfortable to answer, but really good, and then help you go into a direction that makes sense. So Lucas wanted to do that, right?
Okay, so basically we had roughly 4 ideas that we already had. And then what I also said on Twitter is really, really cool and really, really important to go through the YC application. I think it's like 10, 15 questions, something like this. But they're like really, really important. For example, one of them is like, who are your competitors? What do you need what do you understand about your business that they don't, right? So it's like, because if you just say, hey, we're doing it 10 times better, like, or there is no differentiator, then you already know you're like probably on a bad direction, right? So you have to see like, okay, because of this trend now, AI, you can do customer support. Or for example, one of our ideas was interview prep, okay? AI interview prep, where you basically you have an interview coming up for Microsoft, right? And you're very, very nervous. And so what you can do, you can just call an AI, have a 15 or 30 minutes call with them, and afterwards gives you feedback on cultural fit, on skills, soft skills, whether you have the technical skills, etc. Like depending on, and then of course also you can choose different types of interviewers. And of course on the back end, it just basically you have a catalog of questions of like which are the questions that these might ask, and then just walk you through there, right? So that's like something that we thought about, and is also like one of the questions where you can ask, okay, why now? Because AI is at this point where it is possible.
So one of the other things is that what I did actually is on the business side, Lucas did that because I was thinking, all right, it doesn't really matter for me what we go on, what we end up with technology wise. Well, sorry, idea wise, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's the same tech stack. If you build something in mental health or an assistant or whatever it is, it's almost the same, right? It's very similar. You have an interface, you log in, you provide a phone number, and then you have an assistant that you prompt in a certain way, right? And you want to make sure that the assistant has access to a database or etc. And actually make custom calls or custom actions within a call. And after the call, you get the transcript, and then you can also write summaries so that you have a memory for future calls, right? If Lucas calls back into our service, the assistant will be like, "Hello, Lucas, how are you doing? Last
Great.
time we talked about this and this. Are you still interested in that?" So basically, you can keep the conversation going, and you don't like not forget. Like it's super cool because it remembers you and can give you a much more personalized experience, right?
I mean, because think about currently customer support, right? Customer support don't remember the names if they're even friendly, right? Like if you are lucky, you get a friendly customer support, and then just like having somebody who still first of all remembers you, has access to your data, or knows directly, okay, this is what you came for, etc. So that's like really, really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And also like can give you much more look, it doesn't even consider that the customer service is not even maybe doesn't want to do his job, right? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of stress in customer support because you have shitty callers. They call you and they're annoyed, obviously, but still, they're just trying to do the jobs. And then you can also escalate it quicker, right? But this is just customer service. What about other services, right? Because there's other opportunities to do that, like scheduling and all this stuff.
Yeah, or for example, what we also thought about is just for motivation, right? So I think it's not called
Ooh,
motivation,
nice.
but I would call it accountability buddy. So what people like a lot of people use habit tracking apps, or for example, Mark and I use like pen and paper. We just like do it in our book each day when we did our habits in the morning. Awesome. But for some people, they struggle with like going, for example, to the gym in the morning. Best example would be our mom. She like right now she's like doing really good on Duolingo. She has almost 1,000-day streak for English, which is perfect. But then at the same time, she's like, "Oh, mom, did you go to the gym?" She's like, "I forgot. Like, I didn't have to push because like a notification is not good enough." So that's when we thought about what about if somebody calls her, right? Because like, hey mom, or like in this guy would be in the eyes, it's like, hey, like in the morning at 6 a.m. calls you, are you ready to go to the gym? And if of course she doesn't answer, then you get like a voice message, right? That way you can get them motivated, and then afterwards you can just like, hey, did you do a routine? Why didn't you do it? And that way it's basically like having an accountability partner, and who can just always like also in the back end knows, well, how often did you go? It's basically like habit tracking, but now with an AI version on it or spin on it.
I mean, we also have another idea. I think we're gonna talk about the idea that we went with when we finally, after the sprint, we just wanted to do a quick intro. Because do you want to go a little bit more detail what we broke down as well, what we did in a couple of days, what's the current status? Well, you know what? I'm gonna give you a quick update on the current status. So the current status is that I started building the front end. Back end is already testing. The basic functionality is there in terms of you can make calls, you can call within a call, well, the AI to do a backend call. Basically, I say, hey, what's my customer ID, and then it looks up information for me, and that kind of stuff. So the basic functionality is there. I'm now working on the front end to make it a little bit smoother, especially since we need to start soon with Stripe integration, etc. Therefore, we need a website name, policies, etc. And then
All
from
the
there
good
on,
stuff.
exactly the classic stuff that you need to do. Because Stripe, I think, will take 3 days. So we want to do that as soon as possible so that we can start next week with ads at some point already, right?
I think that's also one of the important parts. If you do like a sprint like this, you should consider how that certain things take time, right? For example, especially when you work with somebody else, like for example, Stripe or payment provider, you have to do it earlier than you're actually ready to implement it, just so that you can get already like 2 or 3 business days, especially imagine it's before a weekend, because we can work on weekends. Then you might not get it before next Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's always something that you can consider, especially in these 19-day sprint, especially for YC. You want to have traction already. At least that's what we're aiming for. That's why we're like trying to put it right in there. Okay, this one we gotta do this and stuff like this. So I think are important.
There's also other considerations. I mean, Lucas already mentioned it, but for example, for logins, right? Like you have to work with Google, all these authenticator things, and they need a couple of hours at least, or transferring domains, all that kind of stuff. That all needs time. So all these things you have to schedule, write it down, and do in advance, and then continue on later as well with that. So Lucas, what's the next couple of days? So what are we gonna do? When do you want to go live with it? And because look, in 19 days, that's the application deadline, guys. In 19
now
days,
it's in 14 days.
In 14 days, yeah. It's when? August when? 28th?
27th.
27th. Okay.
August it's 27th at 9 p.m. I think California time. So this is for us like what 6 a.m. on 28th.
All right, perfect. I mean, I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. So all good. We do it, finish it at 27th. That's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, look. So until then, so I basically have still 10 days. Let's say till 23rd. To ship a product that actually people can purchase already. And then it's Lucas' time to go from door to door and get people fucking using it, right?
Well, I'm already excited for it. I think like for me, on my point of view, it's more about seeing whether actually people need it, right? Because I think it's important. It's great to build something very fast, but if people don't need it, it's very useless. It's just a waste of time. That's why it's important to get as many potential customers in there as well, and might do a mom test. So for those people who don't know what mom test is,
good one.
So a mom test is basically, imagine your kid wants to build something and just like, hey mom, so you're cooking, right? And then she's like, yes. So you always need recipes, right? Yes. So how about I make a cookbook app and then you can use it? That would be great, right? Yes. The thing is, she says yes and is always leading questions, which is horrible. And you don't want to disappoint your kid. There's also different things. So she always says yes. But in the end, it's an application that nobody needs. So if you have the possibility, make it that way that a user, even though if you don't have payment integrated yet, that they go as far as even potentially like buying it, right? Click the buy button, they click it already, and then it just says, oh, sorry, payment is not integrated yet. Or sign up now already and collect emails, right? So for example, you're like coming soon, and then you can just run like low budget ads on Facebook, Instagram, and see whether even there's need if people click on it, right? I think it's like really, really important to test this and just see whether there's a potential need.
I like it, bro. I think that's it, right? Oh man, it's already 20 minutes almost.
Man, I mean, we had to pour out all the 5 days already of work, and we had plenty of things to do. But in general, guys, we're super excited, and of course, check it out on Twitter. And yeah, we'll keep you updated every day on our updates.
What's the handle?
Handle is NF Twins. I'm pretty sure should be
_ the NF Twins. I think.
Yes, exactly. The underscore NF Twins. But I'm sure if you type in NF Twins, because we have hashtag NF Twins, you should find us. We also had the YC challenge. Anyways, we're excited, and yeah, hope for all these other YC applicants out there, let's push hard, and of course, hopefully see an interview, and then in San Francisco in end of September, right?
Hell yeah!
All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye.
Peace.